What is up? This is Joita. Oh my God, it has been so long. Welcome back. It feels like it's been so long. Welcome back to Becoming the Sun with Joita. I am so riled up, you guys. Neptune has blazed into Aries, from Pisces to Aries. And I don't know about you, but I am feeling this shift as we are crescendoing into a new month, February of 2026. I feel this massive initiatory energy, this no longer self abandoning and stepping into authenticity energy, and ultimately, no longer people pleasing. So, for context, I feel like this is fueled by several things. One of the major things I know it's due to, and I feel like I haven't talked about enough, is my Reiki attunement to Reiki Master, Holy Fire Reiki Master, specifically at the end of 2025. Since then, I've just been feeling I'm noticing a lot of things within myself that maybe I typically would bypass. A lot of things that, like, within my mind. I notice how I react to situations a lot more. It's like the lens is on me, whereas before I was like in this haze of egoic, just lack of self-evaluating. We are so stepping into a new era as a collective, and I could feel it. I could feel it, and it's palpable, and it's heavy. And this is the opportunity. This is the massive shift right here. So we're just going to dive in. I have been such a people pleaser my entire life. Embarrassingly enough, this is a trait in myself that I've been really like, honestly, on my hands and knees begging God to help me overcome. Please help me overcome the need to be liked. Please help me overcome the need to the fear of judgment. It's like crazy saying this out loud. Very into wanting to be perceived in a positive light, like my whole life. Like I always felt, and I've mentioned in my previous podcast the information that I learned through a QHHT session that I am a Syrian starseed. So that was a massive awakening in itself as it continues to develop in my consciousness, and I continue to have this awareness and awakening as it unfolds daily, and a continual reminder of my purpose and then permanence of this existence. So yeah, a lot of different things, including the Reiki attunement to Reiki Master, and I've just been going through a lot where I'm in situations with people, I'll be in conflict with people, which is a very rare thing because I've gotten to the point now where I no longer have connections in my life. I no longer have relationships with people who cannot take accountability for their action, cannot recognize their faults in a situation. And anyone who I have to tiptoe around that I feel like I can't be my authentic self, those who do not take their selves responsible are no longer in my life. And that is a really difficult thing sometimes to know and to live, because then I have to hold myself accountable 10 times, as I move forward into my next relationships, because I'm not here just for frivolous connections. And sometimes that means being really lonely. But I've gotten to the point where I'd rather be alone than around environments that do not have the capacity to hold everything that I am, essentially. When you begin to stop being a people pleaser, you might lose a lot of people, but anything that you lose by speaking your truth is not loss, it is alignment. And our purpose of being here isn't to cower to others, it isn't to be a yes man. It's to stand up for what we believe in and to have those relationships that allow us to flourish and those connections that allow us to push ourselves further. A lot of us start people pleasing from a very young age, and we don't even know that we're doing it, because Gabor Maté so beautifully put it that it's attachment versus authenticity. And for those of us who grew up in environments with unpredictable parents or emotionally unavailable parents, or environments that maybe were a little unpredictable, we had to survive. So we subconsciously chose attachment over authenticity because typically, if we authentically expressed how we felt, we were punished for that. So we internalize that in order to be loved, I have to be this way. Then spills over into adulthood if we're unaware and if we're unconscious of the pattern that we exhibit. This is why it is such a beautiful thing to sit with yourself and evaluate your own existence and evaluate how you behave in relationships. We're so quick to judge others, but when we bring the mirror to our own faces and our own actions and how we're showing up, like, oh my goodness, like I was realizing so much of how I was so scared as an adult to stand up for myself because all I cared about was being liked. I remember in college, oh, this is so embarrassing. My very first year of college, I there was this one particular woman who we had both interviewed for a position on campus, and I just really wanted her to like me. I didn't know anything about her. And a woman, did I say woman? Girl, because we're all kids. I was what, like 18? And she didn't like me. And she'd always kind of like roll her eyes when she would see me. And it drove me insane. I didn't like, this wasn't a romantic thing, obviously. It's just like totally friendship. And I wanted to be her friend. And it upset me so much. And I'm like, why doesn't so and so like me? It's so weird. Like, I've been nothing but nice to them. So weird and embarrassing and cringy that I even brought that up because holy cow. It's crazy seeing that version of me now because, okay, yeah, now I would be, okay, that sucks. I'm sorry if I hurt, I would think like, okay, if I did something to hurt you, I apologize. Like I would love the opportunity to, rectify it. But if you just don't like me because you don't like me, I really don't care anymore. But that step is so unbelievably difficult. And sometimes we do little people pleasing things to complete strangers where it doesn't benefit anyone. I was having a conversation with my girlfriend the other day, and she was telling me about an experience that one of her friends had at a nail salon where they were getting they got their nails done, and then later they were showing it to my friend. And my friend pointed out, they look really cute, but that one right there looks a little off. And the girl was like, I know. And the friend was like, did you not ask them to fix it? And the girl's like, no, actually, I saw when they were doing the error, but they're just really sweet. And I didn't want to be a bother and I didn't want to say something. And so my friend was like, so you're telling me that you're walking around with a wonky nail all because you didn't want to speak up? And the girl's like, yeah. And she was fine with it, which is a very interesting thing too. Some people are fine with it, which to me is an astonishing thing. I mean, maybe if it's a subtle difference, that's fine. But if you're paying for a service, why would you not speak up and give somebody the opportunity to fix it, especially if you're communicating in a super polite way, especially if you're paying, obviously, for this and you have the expectation that they're going to do everything correctly, then right. But so that's just an example of how we can people please on like a super micro scale as well. And then from that to obviously macro, where let's say, for example, you have a spouse who is continually negative and horrible and never brings solutions to issues, and you're continually the one who is pouring, or any dynamic. Doesn't have to be a spouse. It could be, even a friend. You're people pleasing in that too, because you're enabling that behavior. Or a child who doesn't have any sense of responsibility or self-accountability, and we don't address that with them as parents, and we just allow the behavior to go unnoticed. Like that enabling is doing everybody a disservice in every capacity. And I feel that a part of being authentic is to be able to take on that accountability ourselves, to be able to recognize, okay, if I'm better for myself, then I benefit everybody else as well. That it's only a win-win type situation. But obviously getting to that level and staying there is the life goal. And one of my favorite authors, Caroline Myss, describes awakening, like the levels of consciousness within ourselves and spiritually awakening she compares it to a skyscraper or a building with a bunch of floors. And on like the lower floors, when you look out, the view is like very murky. We're only seeing from the perspective that you're at. You're very survival based. You're very about like me versus them. You're very about your identity and preserving your identity, preserving the perceived identity of the egoic identity, and also too being a people pleaser, because it's about attachment versus authenticity at that level. And when you're moving up the floors, when you begin to get very uncomfortable with sacrificing your own happiness continually for others, you begin to feel like that pit in your stomach or that pang in your heart where it shifts from, okay, I'm doing this to keep the peace, I'm fine with it, to, okay, no, this is no longer okay. That is when you begin to climb into the new building, or new floor, rather. That discomfort is proof that you are ascending. So some of us run right back down those stairs and are like, okay, no, that's weird, that's hard, that's uncomfortable. I just want to be liked. I just want everyone to like me. So I'm just going to be submissive and passive and la 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 la. And then inside, obviously, your soul is screaming. And this right here, this precise boop location is where I was at for many, 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 many years. And I'm finally beginning to like burst up these floors, because when you move up, the view is immaculate, the air is clean, and you recognize that your sense of identity is self-sourced versus dictated by others, by external factors, by validation, by the need to be right, by the need to be perceived in a certain way. You are so comfortable in your own skin and who you are and the truth that you carry and the mission that you have on this earth, that you are so unbothered by any nonsense. That is the penthouse view, ladies and gentlemen. And that is where we should all aspire to permanently inhabit the penthouse. Because in the penthouse, not only are you merged with that awareness, you also can have compassion for everyone else, but also hold others accountable. But obviously, and Caroline Myss says this in her explanation of this, we continually fluctuate between floors, because we're in such a situation sometimes where we give away our power, and then that is where self-reflection becomes your best friend. People that tell me that they don't like being alone, I can't relate, because I love being alone. When I'm alone, sometimes it's super uncomfortable and I want to like rip my hair out, because the thoughts can be, the ruminating thoughts, especially high luteal phase, like a few days before my period. Are you kidding? Everyone hates me. Everyone hates me. I'm a disappointment. Anyway, I digress. That's a whole different, but the self-inquiry and the self-evaluation is so important, because this is how we can grow. This is how we can be better, because if we don't know better, then we can't do better. And this is when Carl Jung says that life doesn't begin until you're 40. Everything up till that point is research, 100%. In these 4 decades, I've recognized so much about myself, and every decade is like such a gift. And yeah, basically, the view is better up here when you no longer sacrifice yourself to appease others. And how do you know if you're on the right path? Is you're no longer betraying yourself. Do you have enough respect for yourself to stand up for yourself, to stand up for that inner child in you, that, because at the end of the day, this is Earth School, right? If we can view every interaction, this is also something that has been so, oh my goodness, recently, especially as I'm navigating conflict, I'm ruminating about just, not understanding the situation, and, wishing that this other person would see my point of view, and just being upset with them not being able to understand, like all the things in my mind, right? And I have this thought where I sit back and I swear it's spirit, and I'm like, they are my teacher. What a tremendous lesson they are teaching me right now. What am I learning from this interaction? What am I learning from this interaction? Mostly what I'm learning is, okay, I can't control how others perceive me. I can only control how I respond to it. Did I respond to the situation in a kind manner? Yes. Okay, awesome. And what can I learn moving forward from this interaction? So, yeah, learning to in that moment, this person is my teacher. They're teaching me, maybe how I wouldn't handle a situation if I were them, or how I wish I would have handled the situation better. I definitely could have communicated more effectively, right? And in the midst of that discomfort, there's still such a golden nugget, because nothing that we're ever presented with is here to harm us or to hurt us. It's a catalyst for observation and integration, and then growth. Every single person is our teacher, and every single thing we experience helps us grow. But then it's like us making that conscious choice of, okay, well, if I had this interaction with this person, let's say it's like a friend that was really painful or uncomfortable, if you try to address it with them, can it be resolved? And if not, then going back and forth and fighting isn't the direction that you want to share your energy, because the return on investment on that is not what going to serve you in your highest good. So that's when you make the decision maybe to cut ties or temporarily disengage in correspondence. But if your decisions are rooted in, I need them to like me, I don't want to lose them, then what are you doing? I don't know who I am beyond them. That's like you're abandoning yourself every step of the way. And then you think about it, you are like, if you also zoom out from a really wide lens and recognize that your soul, a part of your soul, is inhabiting your current vessel, your current body right now. You have an entire higher self that is above you, right? That you are a part of, let's just say, and obviously source itself with all that is. Like, come on. And you have spirit guides that are like, that know the potential that you have, and the friendships and the relationships and the partnerships, the way that you deserve to be treated, but you need to allow yourself, give yourself that permission to step into that. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's just been on my mind lately, and I really felt compelled to share it, because we all deserve to be heard, and to be around environments where we feel heard, and to give ourselves permission to step away from anything or anyone that isn't allowing us to be our authentic selves. Because it's always authenticity over attachment. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for being here. I just want you to know that your light and your contribution to this planet is so needed, especially right now. So thank you for the kindness that you bring to your world. Thank you for all of the love that you share. And I hope you have a beautiful day.